What's going on, Reject Nation? We're gonna watch from our friends over at New Rockstars today. Their breakdown and Easter egg video for WandaVision episode 4. You know they got the goods. It's a whiles of a video. It's a long video. Let's do it.
A lot of things. A lot of Easter eggs.
Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Eric Voss, and this is a breakdown of WandaVision Episode 4, an episode ripped straight from the headlines of New Rockstars videos. In fact, let's just add in here. That's better. There were...
Pausing it early on to run that clip. Why sitcoms? This is the bored New Rockstars creates.
Where's Eric Voss?
That's exactly what we said when we watched it.
Ton of details in this episode that you might have missed. I'm gonna break them all down, shot by shot. Spoiler warning, let's get started. The episode opens with now one of my favorite MCU sequences, a Walking Dead opening scene style hospital panic showing us the moment of the blip return. One of those snap victims, Monica Rambeau, re-materializes. This all occurs simultaneously with Avengers Endgame, the moment Hulk reverses snap, and it's pure chaos. We did see a bit of this undusting in Spider-Man Far From Home when a tuba player got wrecked. This time it's
just
this poor re-materialized dope. Tuba sound added for comedic effect. But listen closely to these opening seconds.
Whoa!
Holy
crap! Did not catch that at all.
Lieutenant Trouble.
In the comics, Lieutenant Trouble was Captain Marvel's nickname for Kit Renner, but in the MCU, it is her nickname for the young Monica Rambeau. But the lines before that suggest Monica's mother, Maria Rambeau, callsign Photon from Captain Marvel, had to leave Monica behind to be raised by her grandmother at some point. Sounds like there was a space mission with Carol Danvers, maybe connected with the Skrulls and or the origins of S.W.O.R.D. Maybe something we will see in Captain Marvel 2, or maybe something that actually led to Maria's cancer later in her life. Now, the close-up imagery of Monica's particles
the Skrulls gave her cancer!
No!
Or maybe we'll see it in Secret Invasion, something hinted there perhaps.
Yeah, that's absolutely possible.
Gloriously rendered. Dare I say even better looking than in Infinity War? Notable difference though, Monica's pieces are not desaturated. They're not ashes, just like bits of her. This evokes Joe Quesada's amazing art of Wanda in the House of M comics that we think this whole show is based on. Among this chaos, we see one guy rematerializing beside a hospital bed, and assuming he dusted 5 years earlier, he would be a total stranger to whoever this one is. There's another patient reappearing in the hospital bed. I love it. This is all horrifying. Despite Russo saying that it was just like a peaceful return on the other side of Hulk snap. Next, S.W.O.R.D, Sentient Weapon Observation Response Division. This is headquartered on a coastal base that looks a lot like Cape Canaveral. Shuttle launch pads, and that big old hangar. It's massive. Compare that to the size of the nearby office building. This could be where S.W.O.R.D built pieces of the Peak space station, which might be where Nick Fury was in that Far From Home post-credits scene. Since WandaVision is apparently set 3 weeks after Endgame, this would be around November 2023, and Far From Home is set in summer 2024.
Okay, so definitely takes place before Far From Home.
Space station operational, if it isn't already. The lobby is laid out similarly to S.H.I.E.L.D.'s old Triskelion in DC.
I just had a thought. Hold on a second. Hold on. Really super quick. I'll make this really fast. You know how they believe Mysterio was from another Earth?
Yes.
And like they believe the lie? Maybe because the events of WandaVision already happened with opening up the other Earths and different realms and stuff. That already happened, so that was easier for them to believe whatever Mysterio was talking about in Far From Home.
Maybe he's just using that to his own advantage.
Yes, exactly. Marvel.
The lobby is laid out similarly to S.H.I.E.L.D.'s old Triskelion in DC. S.W.O.R.D might have grown as an offshoot sister organization under the leadership of Maria Rambeau throughout the 90s and 2000s while Fury was overrunning S.H.I.E.L.D. On the screens, news comes from WHIH, that's the in-universe MCU news service that we saw in promos for Ant-Man. There's also Spectrum News. Spectrum is one of the superhero names Monica Rambeau takes on.
It's also my shitty internet service.
I was gonna say, that could be product placement.
analyzer. We may be seeing
okay,
Spectrum's origin story as a future Avenger in the MCU. Now, Monica wears this necklace. It looks like a small golden sword pendant. This might be what turns into the necklace in Westview. I think it's this more than the new lanyard ID badge she gets. Just because it sounds like S.W.O.R.D is her home. It's really her last connection to her mother. This pendant represents that, and Westview is kind of expressing that history now with this sword necklace that she can't separate herself from. And then Monica's met by acting S.W.O.R D director Tyler Hayward, calling it now. This dude. He easily could have activated her ID, but instead he had her feel like an outsider so that he could swoop in as a white knight and escort her in. He clearly feels threatened by her post-blip return. He thought she would never come back.
Exactly.
It's kinda like Brad against Peter Parker. He knows the status he has should belong to her, and now he's apparently throwing her to this assignment, hoping she will get erased from this.
Like when we were watching it really early on, we're like, this seems like an asshole.
Agent Jimmy Woo lost someone in federal witness protection, someone whose past associates claim not to know suddenly, and now Hayward is throwing his all-star agent Monica Rambeau at this? I'm beginning to think Hayward could have set all this up. Like he might have made a deal with a devil.
Maybe he's
that
Mephisto.
Really?
Was looking for, whom I think could be Agnes's Ralph. And Hayward did this to raise his status at S.W.O.R D while helping that Kaiser Soze slip through the cracks to hijack an unstable Infinity Stone irradiated Avenger to create a pocket reality where she could resurrect her corpse Boo and make babies, all while that devil figure drains her of her power.
Oh, so he's suggesting that whoever Agnes is talking about with Ralph could be the witness that Jimmy lost.
Yeah.
Oh, how fascinating! And I would love that if that guy, that Hayward, is actually the like a big villain of this whole season.
Yeah,
I thought he was just gonna be like some snotty little douchebag dude.
Yeah,
I think he would be
never
the
know.
actual villain.
Maybe he could be Mephisto in disguise.
And he doesn't know what to do. I mean, I'm just saying, Wayward Hayward knows quite a bit about ancient cosmic radiation.
My equipment registered an extremely high level of CMBR. That's
Relic radiation dating back to the Big Bang.
And not to go too hex crazy on this guy, but the diplomas on his wall are arranged in a ring of 6. I'm just probing a fake town with drones till something sticks. The two catch up.
How are the numbers for the astronaut training program?
Dismal. Lost half my personnel on the blip, and half of those remaining have lost their nerve.
Interesting. S.W.O.R.D test pilots sound like a possible setup for the Fantastic
Exactly.
Four, whom we know are
called
coming to
that.
the
Exactly.
MCU. Hayward says,
Shifted away from manned missions and refocused on robotics, nanotech, AI, sentient weapons, like it says on the door.
It also says observation and response on that door, not creation.
whoa, what? You're telling me S.W.O.R.D was creating sentient weapons? Yeah, definitely evokes some notes of Weapon X or some kind of way for the mutants to join
Dude.
All clicking together. The clues.
Full of threats and allies.
Monica's allies sound like her Skrull friends, whom maybe not everyone will see as allies. We know from Far From Home things are about to skew into a Kree-Skrull war.
I thought Kree having sleeper cells was top secret information.
Then Monica meets Jimmy Woo.
James E. Woo, FBI.
Nice!
Ant-Man.
Jimmy does
Yes.
some close-up magic, a trick that he learned from Scott Lang's close-up magic class in Ant-Man and the Wasp.
How'd you do it, Scott?
Do what?
The card trick.
Sir, can you knock?
Now, these Eastview
so
cops
much.
deny Westview even exists, but my question is, does Eastview exist? Were these cops expelled from Westview, their car warped, their minds brainwashed so that Westview would have no law enforcement and thus be more vulnerable to a hostile takeover? Some possible number details here. Monica's
interesting.
SUV is numbered 8512, maybe for the 1985 12-issue comic run some believe WandaVision is based on. Her drone is numbered S57, maybe for Avengers issue 57, the debut of the Vision. Some are pointing out that
Dude, I mean,
it's the same
that
color scheme
lines
as
up.
Captain Marvel, but you know, I think that's also just kind of generic colors. Dr. Darcy Lewis returns from the Thor movies, now contracted by S.W.O.R.D alongside these other experts
I think
in their
the comic
fields.
reference lines up.
Intelligence.
Artificial intelligence. AI was mentioned as one of the new S.W.O.R.D disciplines Hayward highlighted earlier.
Shifted away from manned missions and refocused on robotics, nanotech, AI.
Nanotech is the most
Darcy
ambiguous
stands
sci-fi
radiation
thing in the
coming
world.
from Westview.
What are you getting?
a colossal amount of CMBR.
Colossal?
CMBR
Colossus?
is the oldest electromagnetic radiation in the universe. It does date back to the Big Bang, and it's actually the same kind of radiation that creates TV static, thus the staticky border membrane of the town. But the Big Bang connection is key, because as Wong told us in Infinity War, that is how we got these things.
Big Bang sends 6 elemental crystals hurtling across the Virgin
Oh, it's so
universe.
connected.
Remember, Wanda's powers were activated by one of those Infinity Stones, a Mind Stone. And this whole universe just went through 4 shockwaves of that same kind of cosmic radiation, which could all be connected to this new anomaly. Hayward sends Agent Franklin
I love
to
this.
find Monica
I love
via the
this.
sewers, showing how we got our beekeeper. Wu doesn't like the plan.
There's no reason to suspect the perimeter doesn't extend subterraneously.
There's no reason to suspect it does.
Yeah, Jimmy Woo is saying that the pocket reality extends beneath the surface. Another
a
sign
safe
that this
assumption.
hellmouth might be coming from below. The town perimeter is the shape of a hexagon, confirming our paranoid suspicion about all the hexagonal imagery. It really may just be that this whole town is a hex by Wanda, a spell. Darcy cues up the sitcom feed, confirming that she was that note taker watching at the end of episode 1.
Look, I know it's been a crazy few years on this planet, but he's dead, right? Not blipped. Dead.
I just point this out because that S.W.O.R.D agent behind them is loving this.
Yes, yes.
With me, I would totally be that guy. So the S.W.O.R.D operatives are able to ID the hearts as Todd and Sharon Davis. Sharon Davis is actually the name of an art director on WandaVision.
Oh,
Herb
neato.
is John Collins, the name of another art director on the show. Actually, later the 70s credits say produced by Leanne Patrick. She is a post-production supervisor for the show.
That's usually
It's fun.
what
All
these
the names
film
of the cast and
studios
crew are
do.
names of actual crew working for Marvel.
Joker
Norm
had
is
that too.
Abalash Tandon, and if you look closely at the notes on his form, Abalash expresses concern for his father and sister. This information was obtained when Vision awakened him. Is Wanda controlling the whole town? Physical safety of residents is now in question. When Vision restores him, Abalash becomes Norm again.
dude!
Hold on. Vision awakened him? When did this
What?
happen?
Yeah.
Is this a lost episode? It kind of sounds like what Vision does to Agnes in trailer footage.
dead? No.
If this is based on House of M, Vision might be playing a kind of Wolverine role, awakening warped person after warped person
Yes.
within this alternate reality until the walls come crumbling down.
Oh,
Agnes
dude,
hit the
that's
board,
so
but no
cool.
New Jersey
What a
ID
conflict.
was found for her,
Yeah.
suggesting she might not be a true Westview victim, but someone working.
Hold on, we gotta take that back a tad bit. I want to read that. Alabash expresses concern for his father and sister. This information was obtained when Vision awakened him. Is Wanda controlling a whole town? Physical safety of residents is now in question. When Vision releases him, Alabash becomes normal again. Wow, what a clue just resting there. And yeah, I mean, the theory lines up totally with like how Wolverine in the comic goes around and helps people remember the actual reality and not the fragmented one that Wanda has created. But I bet Vision doesn't even really realize what's going on.
Well, yeah, and what a conflict that creates both for him discovering the layers of truth at work here, but
Yeah.
also Wanda
Yeah,
you know,
even-
maintaining all this.
Even he's like, wait, what? Because and that might make sense with that scene with Herb too, in episode 3 when he's how sometimes when people interact with him, they start breaking the fantasy that Wanda has created. Usually when Vision is around. Ooh, I
Well,
love
Vision,
this.
I mean, like, he has definitely demonstrated a certain amount of suspicion for their reality. Like, so much of his dialogue and his solo scenes and at work and stuff are like, what is this? Why are we here? What are these forms for? Like, he's clearly probing the reality, too.
So it sounds like a lot of saving the day probably lies in the hands of Vision. The same way how it lied in the hands of Wolverine in the comics. Yeah. Oh, how neato. I love it. I love it.
No New Jersey ID was found for her, suggesting she might not be a true Westview victim, but someone working with the darker forces to manipulate Wanda. Dottie is also missing, but, you know, this is still a work in progress. Her photo isn't at all on the wall. They might not have printed out her photo yet, but a lot of people are thinking she might also be kind of key to Westview. Some people are saying she's playing Clea. Now, of course, everyone's talking about this. Jimmy Woo's notes are clearly meta jokes about the questions we have literally been asking. This is wild. Our video titles and thumbnails have been asking
Yes.
about hexagons. Why sitcoms? Vision alive or not? But there's a lot of details here. The board mentions a 5-mile radius, which might explain why exterior stuff outside of Westview, like those Eastview cops and the highway sign, remain warped as well. And then, under the possible perpetrators of this, Skrulls. Yes! This confirms that Jimmy Woo and all these feds know that Skrulls exist. Now, Jimmy brings them up as possible antagonists, which contradicts the friendly relationship with the Skrulls shared by Nick Fury and the Rainbows.
Fascinating.
While many Skrulls are
Fascinating.
friendly, it does sound like some authorities view parts of the Skrull race as a threat. They tried to contact Wanda.
So, you've seen that radio on Wanda's kitchen counter, right? The next time she's washing dishes, which by my count happens about once an episode, barf.
Barf, that's a little shout out to Stark's hollow projection effect that I hope is not part of this. But also, once per episode, how many episodes have they seen? Based on their footage of Monica from that 60s era, there are other lost episodes, so can we see them please? Now from Darcy's
there is
point of view,
opening credits.
God's whole glass shatter from episode 2 is totally skipped over.
Wanda,
Yeah.
can you hear me?
Yeah.
I'm here to help.
Pop quiz, Wanda. How does a housewife get a blood stain out of white linen?
This happens later with Monica's expulsion. So who is editing this feed? I'm thinking it might just be Wanda herself.
It's
based
Mephisto.
on the way she patches a hole in her house.
He's in there.
But still, we know that
He's at the computer.
SNL experience.
He's got Avid going.
For moments, his cable turns into a jump rope, but we don't see what happens to him when Wanda rewinds. Some believe he might have been warped into that ice cream guy from episode 3, but that was a different actor than Zach Henry. They normally don't like change their faces. I just assume he might have been reversed back out through that sewer tunnel. And the aspect ratio widens as Wanda ejects Monica, using her red chaos magic to smash her through the living room, the nursery, the outside fence, and the whole Westview border.
It's a crazy
that's
deleted
1, 2,
scene from the
3,
sitcom.
4. Wanda literally broke Monica through the 4th wall. Then, in case you're canceled,
That's cool. Wow.
even more unsettling than the gray corpse vision from Infinity War, it's the fact that he just reverts to normal with a simple cut back.
Yeah.
Like nothing happened, and thus can happen again any fucking time we cut back to him. But this tells us that the version of Vision that exists in the real world is, as Darcy said, dead. He is a corpse that Wanda could be trying to reanimate with sorcery. So if he has been a corpse the whole time, does that mean that Wanda banged a robot corpse in episode 2?
Goddamn right
Hold on
she
to your
did.
dead horses, necrophiles.
Yep.
You nasty.
I don't think all these people are being ragdolled around with just like sitcom-y sleeves over them. It's more like once you're in the bubble, all of reality within this bubble shifts as a whole. Like your whole body rematerializes to be whatever Wanda imagines you to be, wherever she wants you to be, doing whatever she wants you to do. But yeah, Vision is dead, folks. And I think Westview's hexagonal shape tells us that
My only question about whether or not he's dead, there's promo images of him, trailer footage of him, I think, breaking through the thing that Wanda has created. He's on the other side of this, at least in a couple of moments I've seen. I think it was even in that sneak peek that came out recently. You know, that's kind of why I'm like, well, maybe she does successfully bring him back.
Yeah.
Or
maybe whatever animates him is tied to her and not so much this dimension itself or something like that. She can clearly manipulate things going in and out. Yeah, I would be very curious to know, because these are all real people ostensibly that she's doing this stuff with. It seems like everything has a physical counterpart somewhere.
I think Westview's hexagonal shape tells us that this is a town-wide hex spell, all to try to resurrect Vision's corpse using the cosmic radiation from Wanda's Infinity Stone activated powers, maybe further enhanced by the recent shockwaves of the same kind of cosmic radiation. And despite Monica saying it's all Wanda, I think Jimmy Woo's whole missing person mystery being the start of all this tells us that Wanda is not doing this alone. At least
I don't think
Agnes
so.
and someone else,
Someone's
maybe Ralph,
greasing the
they
wheels.
want her to be doing this. Jimi Hendrix's Voodoo Child plays over the credits, a nod to the true witchcraft at play here. But watch Vision's eyes in the final seconds.
What?
He is nervously looking over at Wanda, and then his head lowers, but his eye line raises over the TV. He is looking at us. He wants out. Follow me on Instagram at EABoss. Follow me Rockstars. Subscribe to me Rockstars on YouTube for breakdowns of all your WandaVision. What the fucks. See you next week when WandaVision makes fun of our brand spots for Aqua Socks.
I gotta pull this back briefly. Is he really looking at us? I mean, I think it could just be a trick of the eye line.
Yeah,
but like looking at the TV, I can't tell if his pupils are directly looking at us, because you could.
His right eye looks like it's or his
like-
left, my right.
Like the camera's right here for you guys, and then the screen is right here. Like it starts right here, what we're watching. So if I'm looking like right here, and my head's down, it could look like I'm looking at the camera. from a distance.
Punching on this.
Anywho.
Either way, though, I mean, it's a fun theory to throw in at the end.
It's
And
true.
I mean, at least him darting his eyes over to her, maybe. There's a little bit of nerves, at least.
Yeah. Well, all right, guys. That was a hell of a video. Subscribe to New Rockstars if you haven't done so already. It'd be well worth your time. I can't wait for episode 5. There's so much more craziness to unpack. My mind is like, I got that mind fucked on this one, to put it lightly. Hit that like button. Also, it's the end of the month, and I did want to shout out all the people who are Pleasure Deleted Takes and behind the scenes award tier, where you get all those extra special, but you know what I'm trying to say, like, I can shout out all those people. Kent McNoy,
Eva Drazdikova,
Tiana H,
Chase Gardner,
Marcus Werderman,
Erwin Rogier,
Natalie Doran,
Brittany Byerly,
Brianna Davidson,
Melanie LeBlanc,
Jennifer the Smithers,
Philip J. Smith Jr.,
Ruby is Dynamite,
Rosie Beatty, Darth Yoda Order 66,
Kayla Swimming in the Waters,
Justin Martin,
SJ94, The Year of Pulp,
Sam Castle,
Rogue Cree, A Star Wars Story,
Sandrine Little Angel,
Steven Mendoza, Got Nothing For You, Dad,
Matthew Mensing,
Meet Me in Joanna St. Louis,
Russell Beatty, our giant panda king,
Peter Pacheco, no homo, but yes homo,
Thomas,
Ken Fairman, believes in equality,
Lauren, American Horse, quite patriotic,
Master Skywalker, the Jedi Bro,
School,
Jordan Topolsky, HBO miniseries,
Zach Wright, absolutely right,
Oscar, as in the insurance company,
Mac Place,
Sean Davis has a great channel,
Josh Barnes,
Loopy Gaming is how I feel whenever I,
Levitt Odell, it's a badass 70s name,
9 Inch Nails is Trent Fredrickson, I messed it up,
Jacob Gonzalez,
Daniel Findura, sounds Mexican,
Chase
Kelly Hales from the north,
and Nash Sanadiki. Lovely, lovely name to close us off. Much love to all of you guys. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for being here and for caring enough to hear your names come out of our mouths.
You guys rock. I love speaking.
Me too, me too.